Hi, George here, and today I wanted to talk about how you can use AIarty Video Enhancer for adjusting colors and contrast in a video. And AIarty has been a good sponsor of my channel for quite a while now, and I use their programs for a lot of the AI work that I do. Now, when you first start working on a video clip, you need to come over here where it says Generate Preview and do a preview. Now, before you do this, go up here to the top right area, and up here you can choose which AI model you want to use. Now, I normally use the Mode Detail, and this gives you an up-res, and also gives you increased detail. And most of the time, this is the right way to go. There also is a smooth HQ here. This is good for de-blurring and de-noise and eliminating flaws. Very useful if you have large areas of smooth color. Oftentimes, landscapes can benefit from this. There's also a super video. This is optimized for low light denoising. So I'll just go back here to the mode detail. You can choose how you want to upscale this. Right now, this video is at 640 by 380. So it's in SD quality. Let's just go ahead and double the resolution here, which is basically HD quality. You can come in here and adjust the strength of the enhancement if you need to. That's good for taking a look at after you've done your preview, so you see what that looks like. You also can improve image quality down here and reduce VRAM usage by doing step mode, but it will slow down the inference. And there's also a faster way to run here, but a slight quality trade-off. Now, before we move into how to use this program, and it's easy to use, if you want to find out more about this program, I do have links for this, including a discount and a free trial in the description, so take a look at that. Let's go ahead now and do a preview. This again does what's called an inference. And what it does is it takes your settings in here and applies those to one frame of your video. So let's first find a nice frame. Down below here, left-hand side, you can adjust the start position. Right-hand side, you can adjust the stop position, so you can do a little bit of editing in here if you want to. This control right here, the playhead, you can come through here and find a nice spot to use as your reference video frame. And let's just do that one right there. You'll go ahead and choose preview, and this runs the inference. First thing it does, as you saw there, is it loads the AI models, and that was very quick. And then there is the inference. Let's now just take this control right here, pull it backwards, and you can see here, especially up here in the shoes, the increase in quality right there. And that's the sharpening that the AI does. And it's also that 2x upscaling. So much sharper, much better detail in here. You have two ways of viewing this. One is this slider control. This is what I prefer using most of the time. Or you can do a side by side if you want to. I'll use the scroll wheel on my mouse. You can zoom in and out like this. And we can kind of pull this a bit better. There we go. So you can compare side by side. But again, I found most of the time that using this control here gives you the best view. Let's just go ahead and reset this to fit. There we go. Okay, now that we have our inference done, we can come down here and do the main thing I wanted to talk about, and that's coming in and working with color. Before we get down to color though, you can come in here, do a few edit things. You can rotate and flip if you need to. You can crop in if you need to. If you're taking video from an old video source like a VHS tape, you can deinterlace down here. This is digital, so that isn't needed. There's also a multi-track down here. This comes into play if you're working with multi-track video, which is something which you find sometimes on DVDs. Again, doesn't come into play on this one, but we'll skip right down here to color. And in here, you can do quite a bit. At the very top, we have restore color. You can use this to revert to the original video colors. And you can use this to tone down whatever settings you have in here. Or if the AI has changed things a bit, you can bring that back again using this control. I'll leave that where it is. Let's now examine this. It's supposed to be a fall season, and it's a bit on the cool side and a bit on the dull side. So I want to make it more contrasty. I want to make it more vibrant. And I also want to warm this up. So I have those things I want to handle in here. So it gives us that better fall look. So first thing I'll do is come over here to the temperature, and let's boost the orange side of our temperature. We can adjust temperature, which is basically cool to warm. We can adjust tint, green to magenta. But what we need is the orange. I'm just going to bring in more orange, kind of like that. There we go. It looks a lot nicer. Let's now come down to the rest of our controls. We have exposure, contrast, saturation. We're doing some saturation, highlights and shadows, and whites and blacks. I'll start off with exposure. And what I usually do is take this control here and I'll just kind of rock it back and forth, watching my video frame. And when I see a spot that I like the look of, like right about here, I'll leave it at that point. And right about here, I think looks good. And that's a plus 16. Now, if you're unhappy with that, you can revert that by clicking this arrow right here. Whenever you change a control, you get this revert button. There's also a revert button up here at the top of color. You can revert to the original right there. Let's come down to the same thing for contrast. I know I want a little bit more contrast. Maybe right around in here looks pretty good to my eye. That's quite a bit more contrast, actually. I want more saturation. Let's bring in some saturation. If you go too far, it looks just kind of weird. But I want a good amount because this should be really colorful in here. So maybe about there. I'll leave it at that. Let's check our highlights. A little bit of highlights helps, like right here. Let's check our shadows. Now for shadows, it's darker to the left and lighter to the right. So I'm going to take this to the left side, and a little more highlights and a little down on the shadows increases your contrast. But you can control that in just the highlights and just the shadows part and ignore the mid-range. And then whites, let's do a little bit more white, that, and then blacks. Now I don't care for that black effect. Just on the white side, I'm not really seeing anything in there, but on the black side, I'm seeing quite a bit. It's bringing down the mid-ranges too much. I'm just going to reset that one to 0. So there we go. We've now set in our basic settings for this clip. I think that looks real nice. So here's the before and here's the after. I think that's a vast improvement on the quality of this clip, and it really does give me that fall feeling that I'm trying for in here. We have the fallen leaves, so it needs to be a fall look. Vast improvement on that. Okay, once that is done, let's close that down. You can come in and adjust your frame rate in here if you need to, or if you want to. You can do a slow motion. I'm not bothering with either of those. There's an experimental section here for going from SDR videos to HDR videos with 3 settings, 3 basic settings, but we're doing that already up here with everything else. We don't have audio, so that's not important. So all we have left for this particular clip is to come down here and we have 2 options: export current, that's our currently open video, and also batch export. If I have several videos in here, I'll have them down here as a task. And I can see that by just clicking on add task right down here. So you can add several tasks in here. And then if you click batch export, it will export all of those tasks at one time. Now, one thing about having a task in here, you can click on modify, change your settings up here, and then apply those settings before you do your export. So you can go back and adjust before you do the export if you need to. Down here, left-hand side is the original, right-hand side is the output. We're doing an upscale of 2 times, and we're going over here to the mode detail. That's all showing in here. That all looks good. Let's go over here where it says export settings, right-hand side, this little double arrow. Click on that. This brings up our export settings options. MP4 and MOV, this is Macintosh. We'll stick with MP4. You can choose your video codec. I'll leave that at the default. Your audio codec, again, we're not doing audio, but you do have 2 choices in here. There's an advanced setting. Gives you a bit more control in here for these settings if you want to. But again, I found that leaving this at the basic default settings is usually the right way to go. If you want to, you can shut the program down after it finishes the task. You also can export out to the original folder. That's the folder you opened it from, or you can output to whatever path you want right down here. I'm leaving this in the default AIarty video output path. We're going to just choose a different path right here. Just click this and then navigate to a different path. And when you're all set to go ahead and click on export current. And we'll let this go in here and do the export of this video clip. And this does all of its work on your computer. It's not doing this online anywhere. It's all on your computer. And that's great. That gives you security and privacy. So if you're working on client videos, you don't want to have those floating around the internet any place, things like weddings and so forth. Having it all on your computer really helps. Now, the speed of the processing here depends upon the speed of your computer. The faster your computer, the faster this process is going to go. Okay, I'll let this go through and finish its processing. And I'll just fast forward to when it's finished. Okay, that's finished. Let's go ahead and click on open. And it opens up the folder that was saved into with the file we just improved right there. Okay, let's take a look at another example. Now to close this one out, I'll just click on clear all. That clears out everything that's down below here. I'll confirm that. Clears all tasks. Let's just close this down. Click on that X and that closes that down. There we go. And 2 ways to bring in new video clips. Either click on the plus sign, that's what I normally do, or you can drag and drop right from folders right there. We look at this video right here. It's fairly soft focus. It's also a bit too light, and it's not really that contrasty. So easy to adjust or improve this one. Again, same thing. Let's click on preview and allow the inference to be made. This one's at 480 by 720. So let's go over here, check our settings, and I want to upscale this up to the 720p high definition. Now, whenever you make a change over here, you have to re-preview. Let it go ahead and do that, but it goes pretty quickly, as you can see. And take a look at this, and it looks a little bit in here, a little bit blocky, a lot sharper, but a little bit blocky on the people. We can adjust that with the strength control right here. Let's go ahead, I'll just back this down just a little bit. I'm just taking off the edge on those people, so they're not really quite as sharp on the edges. That's all we need, just bring it down about to 90%. That looks really good. Okay, now that we have that taken care of, and I think that's going to work out really nice. Let's now come down and take a look at our colors. I'll close down export settings. Let's bring our colors up. Check our temperature first. I think on this one, a little bit cooler actually helps. So I'll go a little cooler on that one. I think I'll leave these tint alone. Let's check our exposure. Leave that one alone. Check our contrast. A little more contrast usually helps most video clips. Let's check our saturation. A little more saturation is not going to hurt in here. That's good. Let's check our highlights. That helps right here. Let's check our shadows. In this case, bringing in a lot more shadow helps to bring the overall picture into a more natural range. Here it is normal right about there, and then more shadow. Brings in more richness into the coloration. And check our whites just a little bit there. I think I'll leave that one alone. Let's check our blacks again. That doesn't really help much. So there we go. And here's our before. And here's the after. Before, it's kind of washed out, obviously out of focus, and a bit low on contrast. And we've now really improved that, as you can see here, with those quick settings. Let's go ahead and just add this task. There we go. If I wanted to finish this out, it would be the same trick. Just come down here and do the export current. Let's add in another video clip. Come down here where it says import, click on this. Let's take a dark clip now and open this up. Here we go, pretty dark. Now this is using the same settings we just used. We were trying to darken things down, and it doesn't help in this case. So I'm going to come down here to color. Let's make sure everything is zeroed out, and that's good. Let's run the preview. There we go. Much sharper on all the power lines and things in here. That really improved things. Let's look at our area over here. Much better on that as well. So it's really helped on sharpening up the overall scene. Let's now take a look at our basic color settings. I'm not really seeing a problem with the coloration in here. I'll leave that alone. Let's check our exposure. Bring this to the right and bring in a bit more exposure here and see a lot more detail by bringing the exposure up. That really helps out there a lot. You can actually begin to see some stuff in the background here by boosting our exposure. Let's check our contrast. Looking at the details right now. I think I'll leave contrast alone. Let's check our saturation. Saturation seems to be okay as is. I'll leave that one alone. Check our highlights. I'm not seeing much in there at all. Let's check our shadows. Bringing shadows up this time does help show more detail in this dark scene. So we'll do that. Let's check our whites. Already see much there. And let's check our blacks again. I think I'm going to push blacks a little bit to the left-hand side here to darken down the blacks a bit. Get a bit more contrast in there. And I think that's vastly improved. So here we go. Kind of dark and blurry. And a lot more detail here once we went through and made all of those different adjustments. And then we'll just add that task. So as you can see, great program for coming in here and actually improving the quality of images. And again, I could just finish this off by going down here and clicking on Batch Export. If you want to find out more about this program, I have links for this in the description. You can get a free trial download. There's also a discount in there if you buy through that link. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that thumbs up. Also, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any videos in the future. And I'll see you next time.